Guys, so this assignment 2, is actually the most creative. It's the most like drawing assignment. So, assignment 2, Birdcage, and again, relevant Adobe TV and Help PDFs. And if you click on Birdcage, you can get that file, which looks like this. These are just here for inspiration. If you would like to draw radically, at least a couple radically different bird cages, that is fine by me. Also, this right here it's not a bird cage, it's actually more of a bird stand, but it's a series of complex curves and lines. And I have it here to show you a few things. One, how most things are built as separate pieces. These exist, if we look here at the layers, they're all different things. There we go. Nope, just kidding. So you can see this is one piece, this is one piece, this is one piece. Someone didn't draw some crazy complex shape. They didn't even combine these except to group them. And I'm going to show you that even very professional looking things already at this, size, we can see that that needs to be moved a little bit. It's like not overlapping properly. This, the way it was drawn, has like a little kink in it. And if we look really closely, you can see even that belongs to this curve right here. And also this one is off. So even people who know what they're doing, they'll have these little overlaps. The key is, can you see them from here? And if you can see them from here, like I can see this, well then you should fix it. If you can't, then don't worry. It's not cheating, it's just, that's, if this is at 100% and you can't see it, then it's not a problem. All right, but layer 4 is the layer we want to work on. And in class, I walked everyone through the start of a first birdcage, and then they made 2 others. Some people would make one and then kind of reshape it to do others, and other people just drew all new ones. First up, though, the book that I pulled these from has been so kind as to leave this smack in the middle of your work area. We need to move it. Unlock layer 1, drag select all of this, and just throw it off to the side. Now it's a list, and then relock so that we don't touch anything. So it's a list of tools that you might use in this particular exercise. But we don't need it to be in the middle because we're not in a book, we're on a computer, and we can see our work area. Use your work area. It is there for a purpose. You can throw stuff there all the time and then pull from it to draw things. All right? So, I'm going to go over what arcs and spirals are. And let's see. So, arcs. Arcs are a little weird. I don't use them very much because they require too much like planning ahead of time for me. If I click on the tool itself, or double click, I get oh, it's not showing a preview. Normally there's a preview there. I'm not sure why it's not showing it. But you would have to change like the slope and all these other things, and that gets, oh, I know why. Because there's no, this tool starts off with no line information. That's what the white with the red through the slash is. Oh, nope, still nothing. That's disappointing. But you'll see that's why. I was on a locked layer. I can't use it. So it was trying to tell me you can't use it. If your y and x are the same length, then you get this kind of curve, which means if I draw it, I get this. If my y and x are radically different sizes, I get, oh, that's backwards, 1060, there we go. I get this sort of curve. This is also upside down from what I would need it. So you can see how this starts to, nope, there we go. See how that's a lot of planning just before I draw something? And that didn't even, like, take? Okay. Yeah, it's not even saving. So, it's not my favorite tool. If you already know how to use it, or if you figure out how to use it, by all means, go to town. Oh, if I draw it backwards. See, I would always want to draw from the curve, but apparently I have to draw from the flat end. So you can see how that would be relevant to a bird cage, but it's also quite difficult to use. So there are other ways to draw these things. The spiral is kind of fun. Again, you can double click on the tool. Theoretically? Nope. To get settings. Aha! If you click on if you use the tool and click on here. You can change how many segments, you can change the direction of the spiral, you can change how fast it decays, right? So again, there's more planning involved here, right? So you have to kind of choose these things ahead of time. But for something as tight as a little spiral, it is preferable to trying to draw that. And you can't always change things after the fact. If you're looking at this spiral going, oh, that's nice, except there's like too many points along the line, I don't want it to go in that deep or come out this far. We have your regular selection tool that lets you select this. We also have the sub-selection tool, which lets you select an individual anchor point and say delete. So now it doesn't go as far around as all that because I didn't want it to. I can also get rid of an interior one so it doesn't go like that. And you can see how that would come in handy. So these are pretty easy to manipulate after the fact. I'm going to go back to my regular selection tool. One thing to note about line sizes, because if you look at these, you can see that the lines don't look as wiry thin as this. So it might seem to me that I should let's up this a little bit. Now that looks like the same black and white ratio as this. And now you're thinking, oh, okay, but it's obviously way too big, so I'm going to shrink it down. Holding down shift so I maintain proportions, and you can already see why this becomes a problem. Come on. Why this becomes a problem. You can see it doesn't look anything like these other spirals. I'm not even at the right size yet. Line width, as in this up here, is absolute. It's not relative. So when this is bigger, it looks like it's a thinner line because everything has gotten, the path itself has gotten bigger. This does not scale. It's always 9 points wide. So if I want this to look like this, but when I make it smaller, I also have to manually turn down the line width. And I'm going to shrink this so that's about the same size and I still got to shrink the line width. There we go. I may need to put it at like 1.4. You can do that. There we go. Now it looks about like this. It looks sharper because this is a JPEG. JPEG, we'll go over why in class, but JPEGs are going to look very soft compared to these. All right, but line width, absolute. It's always the same number. Get rid of this. Okay, so how to begin drawing a complex object? Well, some people might start with the outline. I start with the base. I draw form before I draw, I guess, outline. Some people draw with lines, I draw with form. So neither one is wrong. I'm just going to show you how I do it. First up, though, I need it to have an interior. This is not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I need this to be black. Now you could double click it and go into the color picker and choose the color, but no. Click the color that's on the stroke and drag it over there. Boom, same color. And I'm just going to draw a little bit of a rectangle. It's going to be fairly skinny. There we go. All right, so there's the base of my birdcage. Next up, I want this outline. But now this is a little bit of a tricky shape because it's straight and then it curves and then it goes straight again. Now, what shape does that? Oh, I know, a rounded rectangle. So I am going to draw a rectangle around here. Part underneath, don't worry about. We're going to get rid of it later. And then I'm going to select it and get rid of the color because I should have turned that off in the first place. And let's see. It's a little too thin. Oh, if you accidentally double click on something and it turns all gray, don't panic. Just hit this back arrow twice. Just means you're inside the path. We'll be doing that stuff later. Yeah, there we go. And remember that when you curve this all the way, right? Ta-da! Now I have my birdcage. So, but we have to get rid of this. Remember, you can cut things off at the anchor point. So there's two ways you can do that. One is simply move it so that those anchor points are where you need them and just delete the bottom ones. Or let's say you really need it to be here. There is where it ends. So what I need to do is put new anchor points on this path in the right spot. I'm going to select the outline, go to the pen tool, we're going to click and hold, and it's going to say add anchor point tool. Click on that. And here's something I can't zoom into, unfortunately, because it's always, these path lines are always that small. If you hover over the line that's already selected, you'll see a little white box come up, and it's gonna add, or the little green thing that says path, and you're gonna add a line, you're gonna add an anchor point to that path. But if I hover in the right spot and it says intersect, that's putting it at exactly the same place where this box is. And I know they're lined up. That's how it tells you they're lined up. And then I could go in here and I can delete that anchor point, delete those anchor points. There's two there. Remember, you stretched them out. And bring that like that. Doesn't line up exactly as I want it to. So I can just, there we go. There we are. Right? So, and you can kind of finesse it from there. I'm not going to take that time away from you guys. All right. If I get my sub selection tool, I have to drag select the top because there's two anchor points there. I could flatten this out a little bit or stretch it out. Whichever it is you would like to do depends just on the shape that you want. There's no rule about the shape that you're going to have. I can use the line segment tool and hold down shift. Draw a couple of lines because most of these have, wires running across the middle. And now probably the trickiest part is these interior bars because we want them to kind of look like the top, but obviously they're at different angles, so we can't just copy the top part. Here's what we can do. First off, we're going to put, by using these little intersects, nope, there we go. Yeah, there we go. So I can draw one down the center. And yeah, so that always looks like, my goodness. Sorry about that. And I'm going to save so I don't ruin it or lose my work. And so I've got the centerpiece going down here. But there's actually something else I can do. I can draw the other straight lines separate from the curved lines that will be going into this later. Because the curved lines, those are going to be tricky. And I gotta kind of maneuver these so that they look the same. There are alignment tools that we'll learn later so that they are actually the same, but we'll do that later. All right, so these are going to be straight, so I don't have to worry about these being curved at all. And then I can take the pen tool and I can click and drag a little bit so that I get a curved edge. And then I can get a curve, click and drag, and I get a curved edge there too. And now I have two curved points. And I can manipulate these the way I want. This is a matter of eyeballing it. I'm kind of making it so that the handle is directly straight above here so that it's continuing from a straight line. And I'm also kind of making sure that this handle is pretty horizontally flat here because I want it to go into a horizontal line. And then it's just a matter of pulling them out or in and out from their anchor points for how much influence they have, and that's how much the line gets curved. Now, also the way I drew it, I think I accidentally included this, which is fine. Because you can see the boxes going all the way down here. Oh no. I'm not sure what I clicked to make that happen. I'm sure I'll find out later. But Control C, Control... Oh, it connected it to this line. It accidentally... sometimes with a pen tool you can click things and they can accidentally go into each other. That's okay. Control C, Control Shift V. and then right click, transform, reflect across the vertical. And it did the wrong side. I want to see if it can go across the middle side, because that would be nice. Then I don't have to move it. Nope, it considers the other side to be, you can see it's kind of going across the wrong edge. But I'm just going to use the move tool here. And there we go. So now I have the same one on both sides, and you can do that for here. Copy, paste, reflect to move it over here. And that's how you get things to be symmetrical. You don't eyeball them twice. That's kind of nuts. You just do this. And then I could add all the little swirly gigs I want to the top. Some of these have, come on, circles at the top, which is an ellipse that you hold down. Shift for. There we go. Oh, just kidding. There we go. Right? So a little hook, like is, because you hang birdcages, so they often have hooks on them. And you can put whatever design details you want. And then if later on you want to make one that's kind of similar in size, similar but different, you can make changes to this. All right, so make sure they're on different layers when you're done, just so it's a little bit easier for me to see. But go bananas. Make these look like whatever you want. These are only here just for a starting point in case you've never seen a birdcage, which is not unreasonable. But you can make these look like whatever you want. They can be asymmetrical. They can be multicolored. They don't have to be black and white. They can be whatever you want. This is kind of meant to be fun. There should be 3 when you are done. 1, 2, 3. 3 bird cages when you're done. All right? And again, you'll be submitting these to, if we go to, back out to week 1. And it takes its time because Blackboard is slow. Oh dear. Well, if you go into the week 1 folder, the bottom thing says week 1 exercise submissions. And you would, there it is, week 1 submission. So you click on that. And again, we wait. And I've already submitted this before. So you won't see the screen. Because I've already done tests as a student to make sure I could submit them. But you would go directly to the screen that is about to show up if Blackboard ever gets its act together. Oh dear. I will be going over this in class, so if you don't feel like waiting around for this, that's fine. There we go. It comes up to this. It says it's due Tuesday the 31st at 11:30 a.m. Attach files. Browse my computer. And then you look for where you stored these. So be careful. Make sure you're storing them in a place that you can get to. And if you have any comments, if you have any questions, you're like, I had a hard time with the grayscale gradient, or whatever it was you had a hard time with, or had a question about, you have a specific question, if you write it here, I'll see it, which is nice because it means I can know ahead of time what to comment on for you. All right, so that's all. That's the 3 assignments.